is about trying to, some of you that are already in the NHS, this might not necessarily apply to you, but those of you currently trying to pursue your way into NHS, there are numbers of things you need to know, and there are numbers of things you need to be aware of that will shape your application and also shape your success opportunity if you're going to be able to land that role. And I think those are some of the things we're going to be covering today. And especially some of you that will be looking for promotion as well. What are currently the challenges facing the NHS? And how do you navigate it? And I think with the government push now, there's now a series of government advocacy for trying to get a lot of the youths in their own children, um, some of them that are unemployed, try to get them into the workforce, particularly in order to remove to solve, um, reduce the welfare bill, make sure people are getting into work. So those push are making competition quite hard. And some of the other things that are also making things really challenging in the NHS as well. As some of you that will be aware of, you will notice that the level of job you see previously being advertised are not the same as they used to be. Jobs opportunity are scarce, interview opportunities are even more difficult to get. And what are the major factors causing it as well? And I think going into 2026, you will realize that this competition will become more challenging. Sorry, Michael, can you make sure you are on mute as well? Please make sure you're on mute. So this competition is going to be more challenging, and what this competition is going to be more challenging. And what is going to make it more challenging is because there are numbers of changes that are now going to be implemented in the NHS. Amongst them are the fact that you're going to, as I'm sure some of you would have been aware of this, there's now a plan to scrap a lot of NHS quangles, and a lot of them are some of the agencies or body attached to NHS, NHS England being one of them. So if you think about it, the hundreds and thousands of people that work for NHS England, where do you think they're going to be going to? They will be going into the hospital setting in order to work. Definitely. So that makes competition for job even more intense. Um, 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 Again, you will see that organizations such as the Health Safety Board, HSIB, they are also removing them. They are also scrapping them as well. So that is another agency going. So NHS, the watchdog as well, the government is scrapping them. So you can imagine hundreds of people from these organizations will need to either be redeployed, or some of them go through redundancy process and then want to go back into the healthcare setting. And because they're coming from a regulatory experience, they even stand a better chance that, many of us in this room, particularly with their background working in those areas, and you will be competing against them. And this is why, in your interview, you will realize that there are major challenges you need to overcome. It's not because you're not good enough. It's simply because you're now facing more intense challenges, that competition, than what you were used to before. And those are actually factors influencing your application. And I can give you a classical example. I can tell you for fact that for every application you put in through today, whether you know it or not, until you become a recruiting manager, you will not get to see it. But the reality is, for every application you put in, I can guarantee you for sure that there are over 50 to 60 plus other applications that have gone in with your own applications as well. And when you get called for interview, there's probably about 10 to 15 of you shortlisted for interview out of those applications. And then you need to battle it out. And in this case, a mediocre performance will not do. Even being excellently good will not be enough for them for that interview. They need someone that is superb, that is outstanding, and you can actually be left to do the work without any supervision or support. And those are the major challenges you will face in the coming in the next few months, if not years ahead. Hopefully things get better, and there's more money to be thrown in there to help. So if I took you through the journey of this company, previously, it was Jupiter Atlant Consulting. Few changes came into place, and the name change was part of it. As part of that, which was the Prior and Future Career Consulting. And so far I've had opportunity and privilege to present to various universities. I probably cannot list some of them now. Sheffield Hallam, Derby. I've had opportunity to work with diverse students from different backgrounds, and I've been very, very privileged enough to say, I've played a fair role in getting people into sponsored role and in some cases their first NHS job, and people that are now going into their second NHS job as promotional opportunity, either be it engineering, logistics, be it something to do with medical secretary role, be it to do with business manager, be it to do with organization learning and development, so on and so forth. So there are various opportunities within the NHS which you can occupy. And just because you've studied data analytics does not mean you have to end up working in that same job title. There are other roles you can explore. You can be a business manager for division of surgery. You can be business manager for the psychiatric unit. You can be a medical secretary, for example, for the pediatric unit. You can be anything as long as you can go to that interview and present yourself as an ideal candidate for them, and then work your way up to the necessary position that will get you sponsored. So looking at the company, so what does the company do itself, or what are the major focus of the company? P&F Career Consulting is a leading consultancy firm dedicated to empowering students, either home or international students, and their dependents in securing valuable career opportunities within the NHS. Just as I've mentioned, it was established in 2003. I remember the first webinar took place in May 29, 2023, actually, if I'm correct. And that literally was an eye opener with a lot of students being there. And since then, the WhatsApp group has carried on growing with different people from different universities. I'm proud to say, during the good old days, I've seen people that have transitioned from holding a tier two care visa, as it used to be called, then going on to transition into NHS Band 5 role, sponsored role. And unfortunately, those opportunities are not available anymore. So be very careful when you get a care visa, because that also impacts whether you can even come back into NHS again. And and so far I can say, we've built a reputation for helping students in securing reputable job opportunities in the NHS, and leveraging my experts knowledge amongst alongside some of the guys I work with. I have the likes of other people that help out with interview support in that area. We've been able to give guidance, necessary guidance and support and information, and this has helped, particularly, some people that have come through my service will tell you you will get a proper consultation where there will be discussion on your career journey, coming from where you are coming from in Nigeria or wherever country, and then there will be discussion around career mapping, your job application, what that will look like, your interview preparation, and then go through all the processes that you need to be fully aware of to get to the point of where you want to be. And as of today, some of the major things we will be looking at today, we'll be looking at things around current immigration changes. How does that affect you from NHS point of view? We'll be looking at the challenges and solutions. We'll be looking at, your NHS career pathway, which is the most important part, NHS interview expectations as well, testimonials as well. You're going to hear from few people in here. So let's look at where we are right now in terms of the current climate in the UK. Sorry, can I just ask, is my screen clear enough for you guys?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So looking at the current immigration, you know, environments in UK. Some of you that will know when you came in, we have series of issues around what is the major visa threshold from the 26,000 phase right up until 30,000, right up until where it currently is. So we're looking at what the current situation is right now. So for those of you that are recent graduates, you will be eligible for the new entrance pathway, definitely. That will give you eligibility to seek a visa at a lower salary threshold, should that hospital, or particularly in this case, should the NHS trust be able to sponsor you. And what would that mean for you? in previous times where you need to get a job of 30,960, which a lot of jobs used to qualify for outside of London. And even with the NHS salary increment that has just taken place, you would have been able to, but that's not the case anymore. So you need to get now a 33,400 job, which a band five job outside of London will not get you in there. You really need to get yourself at least a band six outside of London to be able to fulfill this salary threshold. And likewise as well, you need to get yourself a band five in specific area in London, which are the high cost living areas in London. So the hospitals I'm talking about are your likes of Guys and St. Thomas's, Imperial, um, Guys and St. Thomas's, Imperial, King's College, Epsom St. Heliers, St. George's Hospital. You're looking at Chelsea and Westminster. You're looking at hospital like Kingston. So those are hospitals that fall within the high cost living area where you can then get a salary. You usually get a salary of about 5% to 15% top up on top of your typical NHS salary for a band five standard in order to for you to be able to qualify and this is because in those areas your band five usually typically starts from somewhere around 35,000 thereabout for those areas ranging up to 37 depending on how the area is being categorized. And then you have your skilled worker visa, which usually goes for your typical so-called non-new entrants, particularly in this way. There are some of criteria that they use for the new entrants, but if you look at the typical skilled worker visa, before it used to be 38,700, now is now 41,700. And what does this mean for you now? In the past, these are salary you can easily attain from your band seven thereabouts. So now, if you're going to be getting a job for a skilled worker visa, particularly looking at what you need, you definitely need to be getting yourself at least a band seven job now outside of London and a band six in London, which start usually band six in London usually starts from about 40,000 thereabouts in those high cost living area. Again, not outside of London. So if you're applying to somewhere like Kent, somewhere like quite a little bit outside of London area, you will not get the salary standard in order to satisfy this sponsorship support. So looking at that, you can see clearly where things are in terms of what you need to achieve the desired outcome, how you can target the right job from your band six to your band seven and your band five in high cost living area to get the salary standard you need to fulfill this request, to put that request through to the hospital you will be working for sponsorship support. And these are now major pressing issue. And why is that the case? Because you are now in a different space because these positions are highly competitive. They are positions that are well sought after by people both in the NHS and outside the NHS. And they are positions that even the manager that wants to recruit you into them will also be asking so much of you that you cannot just come into that role with a very minimal standard or expectation that you should be appointed on the basis of any academic qualification alone. They want to see that you have the right skills, the right capacity, the right the technical know-how to be able to deal with the challenges that come with that role. And now, as a student, or if you're a dependent of a student, you will see how you will be affected as well going forward from 2027. So we're just about 12 months into it from January. So looking at where things are right now, the post-study will be going into the from 24 months, it will be reducing to 18 months from January 2027, meaning that there's even more less time for you to be able to get that desired job that you need to meet the necessary criteria to get sponsored. So typically speaking now, getting yourself into the right position is something they will be pushing ahead with. And I will tell you one of the major driving force or driving um, reasoning behind some of these major changes. I'm sure a lot of you that have read the government reports, we know what the government is trying to achieve now. The goal primarily as it is now is to ensure that anyone that is going to be staying in this country will not be doing a low skilled job anymore. They want people with high talent. They want highly talented, highly skilled individual to remain in this country. And those are people that are going in there to do highly skilled work, which are the kind of position that we expect you to be seeking within organizations such as NHS and in civil service. And I will show you how that has played out in some of the benefits that they've attached to any of the jobs you will be getting going forward. So, looking at some of the proposed changes that will be coming in from the recent announcements, there is plan now to restrict benefits only to British citizens, and people that are on ILR probably will not be allowed. These are still consultation, ongoing consultation. Those who arrived on the health and care visa will need to wait 15 years in order to get indefinite leave to remain. These are ongoing consultation. They've not legislated for it yet, but these are things you can anticipate. And I know being in this country for how long I've been here, I know when an idea is being talked about as a consultation, that is already cemented. It's something they are looking to implement, and I don't think they will change their mind, particularly looking at the current political climate where you have someone like Nigel Farage and the Reform Party and the Conservative Party, with one of us, Auntie Kemi, right, pushing for some of these ideas as well. So you can see that the person that is actually advocating to make life difficult for more immigrants is actually an immigrant as well. And you can see that some of these changes that are coming in from both areas, and with the Labour government actively working to make sure that they are not one-term governments, they actually have opportunity to seek a second-term political victory. You will understand that these ideas, they will want to push it ahead as much as possible. And I know from few informations that I've been able to gather and some of things that has come out from various political experts is the fact that the conservative government are looking to back these ideas as well. And what's the reason behind it? Is because their plan is to lock out reform so that the UK remain a two-party state of Labour and Conservative, should Conservative be able to come back into government. So fully well, I think even if this proposals get watered down one way or the other, I think you should still be working on the premise that they will legislate for it. And if you look at some of the things they are talking about now, skilled workers earning over 50,000 for 3 years prior to earlier in the 5 years, those earning over 25, they will get their ILR within 3 years. And these are people that they want them to be going into City of London to do critical job within the financial institution. And if you look at some of the job salary they are looking at salary for staff within some NHS staffs are excluded from this as well. So if you look at some of the salary they're looking at salary for people that are doing your so-called band 5, band 6, band 7 job in NHS, band 8 as well. And these are highly skilled role. When you get to at least a band 6, band 7, band 8 in NHS, you are well competent enough to be able to make a service decision. And as a result of that, you become categorized as someone that is making a meaningful contribution into the economy. And you can see some of the major changes, how these will have a major impact on you as an international student, and how they want you to hurry up and come into reputable roles within the organization. And the days of people using coming into UK, getting a care job, and which are usually categorized as a low skilled, even though you're doing a critical job as a carer, taking care after someone's elderly, supporting them. These are critical jobs. It takes a lot of compassion and desire to be able to do it. Even some of their kids, if they cannot look after their own parents and other people are willing to do that for them, I suppose they should know how much of important job those things are. Well, this is where we are. They want highly skilled people in their community, in their society, in their economy, making meaningful contribution both at tax level and both at academic level and both at contribution that have meaningful impact to the entire structure of their society. And that is where as an immigrant, you should even be proud as well, because I'm sure a lot of you probably you were doing quite very good, reputable job in Nigeria. Some of you were senior managers in financial institutions. Some of you probably have your business that are making millions. And I'm sure for you to be able to afford to come to UK, you're definitely not someone from a struggling background. You to even get you here, you probably spend somewhere in the region of at least 30 to 50 million to get yourself here, from your school fees to your accommodation to feeding yourself to your visa to all the tests you have to do, your NHS surcharge you have to pay. So you're definitely not someone from a poor background to even make your way down here and make that commitment. And how do you make sure that that commitment is rewarding? Is something that you need to sort of price into your calculation as you go forward. So looking at that, in that situation, as an international student or as a student, what should you actually be doing? You should actually realize that there are limited opportunities in as much as abundant as those opportunities may seem to you, but you're limited by numbers of things you can do. Once you're on a student visa, you're limited to the fact that you can only work 20 hours a week. And those 20 hours, more time than often, people end up doing jobs due to asymmetric information. You end up doing jobs that you should actually, ideally, you should not be doing one way or the other, or you're doing job that is readily available to you because of circumstances you find yourself. And the absence of information also impacts people's decision making. And when you have the right information, you can make that necessary transition and prepare yourself ahead. Yes, it's costly and it's highly demanding, but those things are quite something you will be forced to do one way or the other. And I will talk you through, you hear some testimonials, and I will talk you through some of the things you need to be fully aware of. So, as a student, where are you best to utilize your 20 hours? You can do them in the private sector, but ideally, if you know sponsorship is your key goal, you probably want to start exploring things around civil service or any other healthcare agency organizations that you could best go into in order to get that necessary skills and idea into what you want to do in future. And I know there is a clamor now for a lot of international students that are going into the idea of tech. Or one thing I'll quickly mention as well, without mentioning any organization, there are numbers of people that would have gone into the care visa with the idea that I'm going to get a care visa, then I'll transition into tech. Do not make that idea. Once you're on a care visa, think about it. For any one of you in this room and people you know, think about it. If you end up applying for a care visa and you want to then go and do tech with all these organizations that offer that training, which is not a problem at all, but if you don't want to apply, how do you then tell an employer? Let's say you've applied to British Gas, Scottish Power, Barclays Bank, anyone. How do you tell them that, oh, I'm a business analyst? Or how do you tell them that I am project manager? I do this, I do that with this organization. How do you tell them? And at the same time, you're holding a tier two care visa without, so basically, you're working in care, but at the same time, you're claiming to be a business analyst. So those things do not really square up. So you need to be quite very tactical. You need to make smart decision, and you need to know how to navigate in terms of making the right choices and right decision. And making the right decision, what does that mean? How do you utilize your 20 hours effectively in a role that will give you the career pathway that will lead you into a more smooth and easy, give you a soft landing into a job that will give you an idea that, okay, look, if sponsorship do come, it will be more easier for me to attain. And where is it best to explore those ideas? Probably, I will say from my point of view, because I'm here to talk to you about NHS, I would say within the NHS is ideal place to go about it. And what does it mean? Using NHS, you can get various jobs in NHS. A lot of you don't know about. There are various jobs within endoscopy services. You can even get part-time medical secretary. You can get part-time any administrative part-time job, and you can use that as opportunity to take on series of leadership training within NHS through organizations such as NHS Select. You can use the NHS Quality Improvement Learning. You can use the NHS e-learning platform as well, and start having the necessary training into some of the critical aspect of work that is done in NHS, from patient pathway, from referral to treatment, from minutes taking, from chairing meetings, stakeholders mapping, and then use that as opportunity, leverage on that to then go on to your band for whatever banding your 20 hours may be. And during your dissertation phase, you can then start moving on to look for a permanent role, which ideally, the day you're dropping your dissertation, you probably want to start your permanent full-time job within the week or 2 weeks after that. But what does this mean? This might mean you have to relocate. And by the time you're actually having your graduation, you probably want to go into your graduation with the possibility of the fact that you're applying for your post-study, moving from either a band 2 or a band 3. And I think possibly you might just want to anticipate that by next year thereabout, I don't think it should go beyond end of next year. The possibility of a band 2 being fully eliminated in NHS is probably something that is in consideration now because of the minimum wage and the salary threshold within NHS as well, with the overlap between 2 and 3. You will see now that band 2 does not have any stages of pay to it anymore. There's only one stage to a band 2 pay. Only band 3 have an extra layer of stage 3. So those possibility of you getting a band 3, then moving on to a band 4 position, moving on to band 5, moving on to band 6 to get sponsored. And possibly all this should be happening within your dissertation and your graduation. And within that, by the time you enter your post study, ideally you should be spending the next 6 to 7 months out of your 24, if not 18 months, hunting for sponsorship. And I'm sure, barring bad luck or anything terrible, that, unless you're not doing enough as well, you cannot tell me that within 6 months of wanting for sponsorship, having interview back to back, whatever it may mean, right? You would not tell me that there is no way you will not be able to pass an interview. You should be able to, God on your side, and barring bad luck or any issue. And then being in your band 6 or band 7 role, I'm sure at this point in time, any promotional role should not be difficult for you to attain. And as a result of that, by that process, you will find yourself in a position whereby you are more comfortable to make any decision you want to make with your journey and with your career and with whatever you want to do. And I think before I go forward to the next set, right, I'm going to bring in Rollins is with us today. I've got Noya here as well, and I've got Ellen here as well. These are three people that I've had opportunity to work with. They've given me the privilege and honor, and I'm very happy that they're both here, and I'm very thankful for taking time to attend the webinar session today. I'm going to call on Rollins. He's happy, just as I've said, he will be sharing his experience, how, he's come from Nigeria. Rollins is now working in NHS as well. And I'm sure he's got a very, very interesting story to share with you. Rollins, by the way, this is a recorded session. So, Rollins, please do come in. Please just share with people in the room. Please, I want you to hear Rollins' testimonial before I go on to the next phase. And then I'll bring in Noye and I'll bring in Ellen as well. So, Rollins.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak in this on this platform. It's an opportunity to also to share from my joy, from what I see as a step in the right direction in my career, in my life and in my career, not just my life and my career, that of my wife too, because since I came to the UK, I've been doing care job, just as you know, what almost every Nigerian does when they arrive here. And I've been doing it, and it got to a point I was really tired of it. I was really frustrated, kind of. I wasn't, it was no longer interesting. So I thought of what to do, but I couldn't think out anything. So I even started asking some of my friends, some of my colleagues at work, what about NHS? I asked so many people. I remember one telling me that I shouldn't bother myself. It's an impossible mission, that she has applied to NHS. Like she has submitted, within 2 years, she has submitted about 500 applications, that she didn't get any call for interview. I say, So I talked to another one. That one is even my supervisor at work, at my care job. And she told me that since she came to UK, and she has been in the UK for the past 3 years, that she has been applying to NHS. That she has applied, she can't count how many applications she had submitted. But she got one offer the offer was not good enough, that she didn't take it. And after that, she continued to apply and nothing came up. And excuse me, nothing came up. And then she now gave up. So my wife and I, we have been having this dream of working in the NHS and also working, because I have always been an admin person. I also wanted to work in the admin. I told my wife that this care thing is not my thing, and it wasn't going down well with me. I was actually tired of it. So we continued to rack our heads on what to do. After a while, we just, having heard people's testimonies and unpleasant testimonies about applying in the NHS and all that, we just concluded that it was not for us, that maybe I should just continue with my care work, and maybe someday something will come up. But one day my wife came home and told me that she met someone who told her something about somebody. I said, then somebody about what? Said about NHS. I said, I beg, NHS is an impossible mission. But she now told me about that the person told her about somebody, one person that knows how to apply and all that. So that was how Mr. Saidi was introduced. I mean, the lady told her about Mr. Saidi, and then we continued speaking. We continued speaking, and then after a while, we started talking with Mr. Saidi, and he. Sorry, I'm kind of. I'm also driving as I'm speaking. Please.
Sorry.
And somebody just telling me to move away from where I'm parked. So we continued speaking with Mr. Saidi, and after a while, he decided to help us. And from there, he asked me if I had actually before then, a friend of mine told me about track. I should apply through track. I I I told her that I already did. I was already told about track, that I tried to apply, but my wife already was applying, and we already submitted about maybe like hundreds of applications for my wife and all that, but nothing came up. So that confirmed our doubt that NHS was possible. So we did not bother ourselves again doing anything about NHS until we met Saidi. Saidi told us that we should. He told me actually that I should give him my track login. I did. So my track, I actually had the track account created, but I didn't do anything about it. We only used applying through my wife. So I said, let me even use my wife to try this thing that people said, and if she will get something, at least an interview, then I will know that it's actually possible. So we applied so many, about 100 or more, no interview, nothing, not even what we were getting always was unfortunate. So we just gave up and concluded that it was not our thing. So when we met Saidi took my login to my track. The track I created, which I did not, was empty. I didn't do anything about it because I didn't believe that it was possible anymore. So he took the login, and before I knew it, he created profile, created my supporting information, and he sorry, I'm still driving. That is why I'm kind of. And he created my profile, and then did everything for me, supporting information, and then before we knew it, I started getting interview invite. Can you imagine? My wife shouted, said, so this is possible. I got so many interview invites within 1 month that I got tired of receiving them. And before I knew it, I attended some and I got 2 offers. That was how I started working in the NHS, and with the help of Saidi, my wife also got her own offers and she attended the interviews and she got NHS job. As I'm talking to you now, myself and my wife, we work in the NHS in different trusts, not in the same trust, but both of us are NHS staff. I work in the admin and I'm enjoying my job at this time. And one thing I would say is that Saidi does not just he does not just I mean, sorry, I'm trying to pack so I can just speak. Yeah, I'm packed now. So one good thing I know is that Saidi does not just uh, 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 do this for you. He holds your hands. It takes you step by step so that you will both the interviews and everything. He coaches you, tells you what to expect and what to do during the interview. In fact, he's someone who knows the system. So he just transfers the knowledge to you. He gives you, before you go to interview, he gives you everything you are supposed to expect from the interview. And when you go there, if you follow the steps, you will conquer. So Saidi has been one of the, in fact, if not the best thing that has happened so far since we came to the UK, because right now we are happily working in the NHS that we thought was impossible, and there's prospect of growth. There's prospect of career growth. There's prospect of going from one band to another. So the band I am now, I'm already preparing and warming up to move to another band. So I am very happy and I am very grateful to him. So that is the story of my life in the UK. It's really not complete without Saidi in it. So, and I want to say that anyone who is dreaming or thinking that something is impossible, or especially the NHS is impossible, or it's an impossible mission, if you get the people who know the system, get in touch with someone who knows the system, it is done for you. It's because I didn't know. I was getting information from people that I did not that failed. So Betside made me to believe that there is no limit. I can conquer. And the things what I thought that was impossible, that I did not even think of, it came to pass, and is something that I'm celebrating. And to top it all is that my wife is also an NHS staff. I am an NHS staff. So I am very happy. Thank you everyone for listening. And then if you follow the step by step of if you are with Said and you follow the first step by step of what he tells you, the sky will be your stepping stone. My wife is also here. Fortunately, she has been smiling since I was speaking. We are both in the car. So if she can just say hello, she's also an NHS staff, or courtesy of Said. Say hello.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be here, really. I'm glad that I'm here. Yeah, just like my husband said, it is very possible with the right people, and we met the right person, Said. He has helped us, and not just he has helped us, he's still helping us because, like he said earlier, he holds you by the hand and take you through the process. He's so very much involved. My own was so it's not even supposed. In fact, anytime you call him, anytime you ask him questions, he's always there. So I want to say thank you, like thank you in front of everyone.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. So we will continue our journey now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Then
much.
you
All
have
right.
to.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Yeah.
everyone. God bless you all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye,
So,
bye, Rollins. Bye. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Can I just make mention as well? Just, I think it's something that is worth mentioning that I got to know Rollins and his wife through someone that is also here, and that is Ellen. And this is how stories are made. You see. And I think the way they met as well was quite surprising. I think they bumped into each other, conversation started. Ellen gave my number, and from there, it is we are today here sharing testimonials and beautiful stories. And this is how these happen as well. So I am I'm always amazed by things that have happened. I've bumped into people that have seen me in my area of work and mentioned to me that they got a job because they watch one or two of my videos. So these are how stories are made, and this is how events happens. And I'm proud to say it's such a very very beautiful story from Rollins and his wife, even though they've been told by many people. And I'm sure a lot of you will be very familiar with this story where someone would have said to you, you are Nigerian, you are black, NHS don't appoint people into that role. Don't waste your time. Go and look for care job. You're going into NHS. You're just wasting your time. Nobody will take you serious. So I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with all those doomsday uh, storytellers and people that will tell you their own version of success or their own version of failure to make it your own reality. And I think one thing you need to always remember is you paint your own story. Don't let anybody take the pen away from you and write your story for you. So it's the way you want your story to be. That is how things are going to play out. So, and I'm sure with someone like Rollins that was working in care, and I remember when we spoke, um, took my time to get to know him, know his wife, know what they wanted, know, and I made it clear what is actually achievable. And I will say this is one of those very few success stories that eventually the job happened to be within their reasonable location, but it was not actually the case from the beginning. Everyone had an open mind in terms of what could happen. So these are the kind of things that you will see along that journey when you're making your way. And I've been a dependent of a student himself and also his wife being a student working in NHS already set them up for a very good success for the future, particularly with some of the things that is happening right now. So, and I'm sure this is a very good example of how things has happened. So, if I'll just probably leave about 2 minutes to take questions before I move on to the next chapter in terms of barrier to success based on what I'm talking about. So, I would just say I'll take one or two questions if anyone have any question at this point. Bukola,
Thank you very much. Is your name Spade or
Said.
I
Let's
was thinking this thing is Said, though it's not said.
sorry, it's the spelling is all right.
It's all right. Thank you very much for all you do. Daily posting of jobs. Thank you for the regular webinar. In some cases, we should be paying, but you are doing it for us for free. So thank you very much. We really, really appreciate your effort. God bless you. Now back to my question. I recently got a role within the NHS, and two actually. And at the end of the interview, when they called me to offer the job, the first one I went, they asked if they gave me the role. I was still jubilating. They called me back to withdraw the offer. Why? Because I was on the graduate visa. So I was trying to say, so they were telling me that at the end of the day, I'll be needing sponsorship, and they were not really ready to fully commit to any sponsorship or whatever. So I was confused. I was trying to tell them that, I just needed the experience, just to, you understand, get myself into the role. But everything I said fell on deaf ears. Um, I just sent a mail after the call. I sent a mail that my postgraduate visa will be expiring 2027. So it's not as if I need the sponsorship now. If you understand what I mean. So that I still have, even if you won't sponsor me, yet I need the skills. I need the experience from you. Um, so don't cut me off because of my visa status and all of that. But for like 2, 3 days, I had no response. And then on the third day, she called me back. And before, previously, she said uh, they will move on to the next qualifying candidate. I felt bad, but she called me back this time around to offer me the job because they could not find someone with my that matched the essential criteria, desirable criteria. So me, I have. So that was the reason why they offered the job. Now, my question is for most of us, for students on this call, most of them are will be doing graduate visa at the end of the day, even if it is cut down to 18 months. What is the hope? What is the like what's the is there any hope for students on graduate visa now that NHS both roles I got, both of them said they won't sponsor. They have it all, but because they said and before the July 2022 rules that all students on their abi everybody needing sponsorship, they had to sponsor everyone. So I think that one took a lot of, the NHS is always broke. So that one took a lot of funds from them. So they are not willing to commit to taking students on graduate visa. So my question now is, how should we prepare? What do you think we can do? I was given a fixed term role, meaning when my visa runs out, that's the end of the job. But to the glory of God and to the shame of the devil, the fixed term has been cancelled. It has now been turned to permanent. So I'm hopeful that something very good will come out of it. But the other one, they did not. They were not really committed to sponsor at all. I hope you got my question. Thank you.
Right. So I do understand your question. So your question is, what is the role and how should you prepare as an international student, given the current situation of things with NHS? The first question I need to ask you is this, right? My first question to you is this. This job you're talking about, what job title? Is it healthcare assistant role or is it an administrative role?
It's called a theater assistant, where the job responsibility is just to clean, double check, act as a secondary checker for when
Okay,
you're in
so
the theater.
it's,
Yeah,
it's
you
a theater
quick.
assistant role. So
Yes, please.
it's
Yes.
more it's just an advanced healthcare assistant role.
Yeah, it's not to sweet,
Yeah,
but yeah, there are many career progression attached to it. Sha.
exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a possibility for you going into like nursing and all those kind of stuff. So yeah, yeah,
Exactly, because she
yeah,
confessed that the
yeah.
person that left the role, the person was qualified for apprenticeship, nothing as apprenticeship. So,
Yes.
what
So
is
if
it?
I ask you now, what band is that job?
Band three.
Band three. Okay.
Yes, sir.
What's the starting salary?
24,937.
So as you see now, that job does not really, unless I'm not sure if it is on the shortage occupation list, you need to look at key things for you to qualify for sponsorship. So you need to look at the salary standard, number one, and number two, you also need to look at the job if it sits within the shortage occupation list. This job, for example, is below the 25,000 you need for the so-called healthcare assistant sponsorship, definitely. So they will probably not be able to sponsor you, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure that job is also on the shortage occupation list as well.
Oh, you're right. I'm aware of that, and at the
Mm.
same time, I'm not willing to sit in one position for a long time. I have been applying, and I've been eyeing some roles such as assistant practitioner. It's a band four job, and I think it's eligible for sponsorship. Yeah.
So yeah, so you need to look at those jobs. First and foremost, make sure you can, if you're going down the path of because I don't really talk much about the healthcare assistant role because I do not personally work with people that are looking for those roles. There are numbers of people out there that have more expertise in that area. And it's not because I don't think people should be doing it. It's not that I don't look down on people that are doing it. It's just because I believe, I've worked in the NHS extensively. I've had experience of going into meeting where I'm the only black person in there, even though I don't really focus so much on race. But the idea and the culture that prevails in this country is that if you're black or you're from a specific background, you're destined to do job like cleaners, you're destined to do jobs such as healthcare assistant. And I believe, having a very kind of broad perspective on life, especially with the kind of people I work with and the kind of things I believe you can do as someone, I can't imagine why you will come from a banking background in Nigeria. And I'm just asking the question of myself anyway. I don't think how I can't see how it is appropriate for you to be a senior manager in Nigeria and then come into UK to work as a healthcare assistant. So I've always had that belief that every one of you that I come across or anyone that comes through my service or through my company, you are capable of doing the job of any senior manager in NHS. Yes, it might mean you have to learn and unlearn certain things, but if you're willing to invest in yourself, you're destined for something greater than where you're coming from. And that is something I've always preached, which is why I don't personally do any research or focus so much on the healthcare assistant role, and which is why I'll be very much adamant that you look, if you're coming here, you're going to go from your 5 to your 6 to your 7 or whatever entry point it may be. So I think with what you're doing as well, so regarding the question that how should you prepare, I would say starting point is you're already in the system, which is quite good. What you need to do next, you have up until 2027. I would say, depending on how you want to go, if you're going the clinical route as you are currently on, there are numbers of jobs you can get that will lead you down the path of your sponsorship. If you want to sort of move in a quasi clinical role, you can go on to become maybe um, you can go on to join different roles such as your um, administration manager, whatever it may be. There are various roles in there, even though those opportunities are limited now. And then you can move on to your sixth, you know, depending on how you brand your profile. And that will help you to shape the way you go forward with your future. So 2027, yes, it's not a long time, but I'm sure if you give yourself a target of every 4 months, you're going to be pushing through with 60 to 70 applications within duration of 5 to 7 days, or within duration of 1 month, you're going to be achieving 100 applications on your track. I'm sure you should be finding yourself in a new job every 3 to 4 months. Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Let's just go ahead because I'm sure I still have Noya here. So what are the key barriers to success? Just as I've mentioned, I had Rollins here with me. Who I talk about his experience. I think that's quite very positive in a way, but I will not shy away from some of the things we also encountered, which is the same with every guy, everyone I've worked with. So number one, what are the key barriers that you need to know that will hinder you from achieving your desired outcome if you're not careful? One amongst them is that, I'm sure, and this is why I'm saying this anyway, because is also very important, because I try not to provide a service to people on the basis of trying to show you the glamours and the beauty of people that have landed their job. You might see someone testimonial that I've posted in the group and think, oh, I would like that to be for me as well, and which is good for you to aspire to want the same thing. But what you should also be aware of is that behind that testimonial, there are numbers of tears and challenges you will not be aware of. And what are those barriers to that success? One is your interview cost. What is it going to cost you? For example, you are probably going to, depending on how quick, some of you will be very lucky. I've had people that have passed their interview on first attempt, second attempt, depending, right? But seriously speaking, you'll probably have to have a budget of somewhere in the region of £600 in reserve for you to travel for your interview. And why am I saying this? Give and take, most interviews now, you will be very lucky. Some hospitals like Sheffield and Co, some of those hospitals are already putting their interview date in there. So that gives you an idea of you preparing in advance if they're going to call you for interview. But if the interview is not there, for example, you can even Sheffield, for example, where they will still give you an idea of when they will be having their interview. You can still look at it unless you're living in Sheffield. You're most likely the likelihood of, okay, you would not probably buy your tickets in advance because you don't know whether they will call you or not. But if they were to call you for an interview, they could call you maybe 4 to 5 days before your interview, and the train ticket from your side to that place might cost you in the region of £100 to £200. most likely in the region of 50 to 200 pounds, whatever it may be. What are the challenges there? Loss of income. Some of you that are working in healthcare, those you're probably on pay as you work. So pay as you earn, meaning that if you don't work, um if you don't work, you don't get paid. Therefore, that loss of income for that particular day is something that you also have to calculate into your loss as well. And you also have the challenges of the fact that all those money you probably will not be able to recoup it. And as a result of that, what do you then end up having to do? Now, your intention is to pass that interview. Now you have to then factor in probably you're probably not going to be traveling from wherever you are living into that area. So you're probably going to have to relocate. So all these things will play a key role in the way your application is going to go, in the way of how things is going to work out for you. So your interview cost, possibly, if you're someone that you're still struggling to get hang of NHS interview structure, you have probably your fourth interview, fifth interview. If you're traveling to Newcastle, Sheffield, you're traveling all the way down to Doncaster, you're traveling all the way down to Reading, you're traveling all the way down to Middlesbrough to have an interview, or Coventry. So you're spending probably in the region of 80 to 90 pounds on average per every journey you make, subject to where you are. And the truth be told, is highly uncommon that you're going to get a job around your area that you live. If you're one of those people that are fortunate to be in that situation, you probably want to take into account that your next promotional role might not come from from the same trust you work. So you then need to make that calculation of factoring in social mobility into your discussion from day one. So the same way you relocated from Nigeria to UK is the same way you're going to be relocating from different places in the UK until you're fully settled with a sponsored job. And that is something you need to price in into your calculation. And very few people very lucky to even get a job that will allow you to work from home in the NHS. And even in the private sector, there is now quest for to bring people back into office. There is no desire to maintain that work from home structure anymore as you have it pre-COVID, as you have it during COVID. So post-COVID work environments has actually meant, office attendance is almost becoming a priority and importance, especially for economic reasons and social reasons as well. So you need to have that clear understanding that you need to price in the factors around social mobility, the initial cost, and I've put this in the group pasted it in the group many times. For example, you're probably looking at your interview cost £600 minimum, between 600 to 1,000, and you're also looking at your relocation expenses. You're also looking at loss of income from not going to work during that period. And some of you will also have managers that will be frowning against you if they don't see you at work. So these are some of the major barriers to success that you will experience as a result of pursuing that desired outcome. But the earlier you start, the better it is for you, because if you're already doing your 20 hours in NHS, you can always use that opportunity that your income is already stabilized fully well. And then you can also price in the opportunity of using your annual leave to go and attend your interview. And that gives you a better opportunity to navigate your promotional role than remaining in a care job or a sector whereby you have hostile environments from your manager. And before I go into the key aspect of NHS interview structure, I'm more than happy to introduce Noye. I've got Noye here with me today. Thank you so much, Noye. I've had opportunity to work with Noye, and like she mentioned, she currently works in urology as a medical secretary, and it's been quite an interesting journey so far. And I'm sure you will hear a great deal from Noye, her experiences, what she thinks you should expect. And I think Noye will also be happy to give about 5 to 10 minutes or so to answer some of your questions. Noye,
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
good afternoon.
Yes, my name is Noye, and I'm presently a medical secretary in urology department. Although I started with pediatrics department, so I'll give a brief history or rundown of how my journey started. I came into the UK, of course, as a student, and started with the care work as every other person, like I was told. You start with the small jobs, you start with care, and then try to navigate your way around. And so I started with care, and I worked in care till almost about the end of my study year. And one day I ran into a friend and we were discussing. She came with her other friend who was already working in the NHS. And we were discussing, and she told me she was working in the NHS, not as a carer, but as, I think, project manager or something like that. And it was very interesting for me. And she now introduced me. That's how I got introduced to Said. And that's how my journey started. I had a conversation with Said. And one thing I'll say, one thing I enjoyed or one thing I liked about the conversation with Said was that it was not just about bring your money and I'll give you a job or I'll get you a job, like how the way people will just like sell their products. Said started with, are you ready? Like you have to have that, make up your own mind. She said, telling the pros and the cons. Do you have the finances? Because you're going to be traveling. The job is not going to be around, might not be around your area. He also told me about finances, job not being around your area, all those things. And I was like, this is not going to be an easy journey. But he also told me the pros of going into the NHS and everything. So I had to make up my own mind to say, okay. He also told me, I'm not getting you. I will arrange your personal statement and everything, your